Let's talk about leaving a great voicemail message. Hi, it's Anthony Iannarino of thesalesblog.com and right here at youtube.com/Iannarino. And a couple weeks ago, I wrote a story about one of my good friends. When I was a young kid with hair down to my waist, I know that's hard to believe, I moved to California. I was working a day job. I was fronting a hard rock band at night. And I had a great buddy. His name was Rickman. He lived in Columbus. And we were really good friends from the time I was about 13 years old until I moved there when I was about 20, 21 years old. And Rickman was kind of a bit of a scoundrel. He's a tough guy. He's got a lot of personality. That's one way to say it. And just one of the great characters you'll ever meet. Still a friend to this day. But what happened when I moved away, we missed each other and Rickman wanted to talk to me. So he would call me on my phone. And if I wasn't home, I had an answering machine. And the answering machines at that time had a little tiny cassette tape in it. And it might hold like 20 minutes of messages, which should have been more time than you would ever need for messages on a voicemail. And I would go to work and I would come home at the end of the day and I would see just either one flashing light or two or three flashing lights. So when there was one flashing light, it would be Rickman, and he would take the entire tape to leave me his message. So what he would do is start by saying, "Hey, Sammy," because that's what he called me. That was my first name. And he said, I was just listening to the Montrose record, Paper Money. I love that one. Then he starts singing songs from Paper Money, and then he'd talk about Sammy Hagar, and then he'd talk about his girlfriend, and then he would talk about his job at the gas station and what happened there. One time he got held up at gunpoint, and he'd leave the whole story. So I'd get home, and literally there would be 20 minutes of tape, all with Rickman giving me his side of our conversation, pretending as if I was there and he was just talking to me in the same room. And I wasn't there. And sometimes there would be like three little beeps saying I had three messages, and the first 18 minutes would be Rickman. And there was no fast forward, so I couldn't get to those last two messages unless I listened to his entire voicemail message. So when I was a kid and I heard this, a thought occurred to me, and I started changing the way I left voicemail messages. So what occurred to me was I should leave my side of the conversation on voicemail when I call a prospective client. And so I started doing that. I started saying, "This is Anthony Iannarino. I'm calling you from Olston Services. I'm going to be in your area meeting with a client. I'd love to stop by, learn about you, leave you with some information about us. I'm sorry I missed you. I'll try you back next week before I come out on Thursday to see if I can get on your calendar. If you need me in the meantime," and then I would leave my number, which was I think a 213 or a 310 number. And I would tell them I'm going to call back the following week. And I continued to do that because what I learned was if I would leave my side of the conversation, a lot of times people would say yes. Occasionally I would get a call back, but they got to know my name. So when I called and I would leave my story and I would say, "Listen, I haven't been able to reach you. Maybe you're not the right person. If it wouldn't be too much trouble, could you just call me back and let me know if there's somebody else I should speak to? And I'll try calling that person." And then when I did call them, they go, "Oh yeah, you called. You know what? I'm not the right person. You should talk to so-and-so." But the thing is, I want to be known. I want to be known. And I want somebody who I'm pursuing as a dream client to know that I'm pursuing them. I don't want to not leave a voicemail message. I don't understand the desire for some salespeople not to leave messages. It's like knocking on the door and running. And then when somebody finally opens the door, they had no idea who was there. I want them to know I'm there and that I'm pursuing them and I'm not going to go away. And I'm going to sprinkle in a lot of value creation along this path of making these calls by sending content that's useful, by leaving information that's useful. I'm going to do a lot of things to do that. But I tell you this because it's critical that you get known and it's critical that your dream client knows that you're pursuing them. Those are important things. And I learned this from a voicemail in 1992 from my good friend Rickman, who left a much longer voicemail than any of your prospective clients will listen to. But make your calls, and when you do leave a message, be known as somebody who's a value creator, do great work, and I'll see you on the next video.